Hi everyone, this is JNGY. This is the operator Hindsight for our latest welfare 6-star operator, the one and only Crownslayer. Let's dive in. Crownslayer is a 6-star executor in the specialist class. Trait of the archetype significantly reduced redeployment time, and for once, that is pretty true. It really is significant. The archetype has the shortest redeployment time in the game at 18 seconds default and 16 seconds with related potential. For Crownslayer as a welfare operator, that time is 22 seconds and 18 seconds respectively. Considering everyone should have her at full potential, the gap isn't that bad. They are one of the squishiest melee archetypes in the game, with low HP, low defense, and zero resistance, which is an understandable trade-off. They are equipped with skills for dueling or crowd control to defeat or stall enemies. Honestly, Executor is one of the most versatile archetypes in the game, if not the most, because redeployment is a fundamental mechanic of the game, and being able to come back more than 4 times faster than most units is always something. Low cost, short cooldown while having some decent effectiveness means low risk, high return, and can be put to a lot of different situations. Comparing Crownslayer with other previous 6-star executors, clearly she's the more tanky, survivable one, and that is on the same page with her overall kit. Her talent 1, ground enemies within 8 surrounding tiles have 20% less physical and art accuracy when her skill is active. Obviously, this is a support and survival-oriented talent. She drops around enemies to debuff them while slightly helping herself survive. Thing is, executors don't have very long skills, the duration is short, and it only affects ground enemies. If you look back at Narantuya's talent 2, this talent is like 1/4 of that talent, so a budget version, so definitely not the most inspiring talent. Talent 2 deals 20% more physical damage to ground enemies that have not damaged herself, 22% at potential 5. Now this talent does work with talent 1, she can avoid damage by accuracy debuff, so when she's not hurt, she gets an okay damage increase. All of her skills also come with extra bonus to help with her better avoid incoming damage, but let's face it, it's only reliable with skill 3. Now here's the key part. Crownslayer is the first operator in this series who have gotten both of her modules over the span of 6 months. The first module, Executor X, trade update refunds 80% of the current DP cost when retreated. Talent 1 update, the physical and art accuracy debuff is increased from 20% to 25%. Wow. And ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Executor Y. Attack attribute plus 88, more than everyone else in the archetype. Trade update, attack plus 10% when there are no allied operators in adjacent 4 tiles. Talent 2 update, damage bonus now up from 22% to 37%, and her stun dealt to these enemies are also extended by 50%. So conclusion, first and foremost, considering we now know what Module Y is about, I only recommend Module Y level 3. If you are dying to use her in these 6 months, you can use Module X level 1 as a transition. Module X base make her consume less DP over time, which is okay considering she has a higher DP, and Module Y is also great. Triggering base with skill 3 is easy, attack modifier is decent for maximizing her damage as well. Upgrades, Module X straight up not worth it. Module Y, needless to say, unlocks her ability to solo stun lock up to 3 targets for 18 seconds, and it comes with decent damage increase. So again, Module X if you really want some better experience during this gap, but set your sights on Module Y, which brings 40.64% damage increase to skill 3 and introduces a major advantage for her to be viable, stun locking 3 ground enemies in a big range without any help or buff. This is a massive glow up for her, make her from non-existent to having a promising feature. Skill recommendation, let's set it straight, skill 3 only. Skill 1s and skill 2 are just not worth it, both in terms of support and damage. That's it, no more comments. Skill 1, after deployment, attack plus 100% and gains 50% physical and art dodge. 10-second passive skill. The stats is shown in the table, by the way I'm just gonna go with the Module Y stats. X really doesn't go the offensive side anyways. Quickly going over it, the dodge in skill plus accuracy debuff in talent is a very similar combo to Ascalon's skill 3, so double evasion mechanics give her a cumulative 60% chance to avoid taking damage. For the damage side though, it's a very similar skill to Project Red skill 1, same survival bonus but with 20% more attack. However, as seen on the graph on the right, she loses out as enemies' defense climbs at about 1100 defense, because Red has the guaranteed damage talent. And if you look across all the offensive skills from executors, especially the 6-star ones, this really isn't close, so not recommended. Skill 2 after deployment stops attacking for 8 seconds, less likely to be targeted by enemies. Talent 1's accuracy debuff increases to 2.5 times. When the skill ends, deals 500% attack as physical damage to all ground enemies within Talent 1's range. So that's about 5.4k damage max. The principle of this skill is understandable. It increases the effect of Talent 1 in the effort to provide an 8-tile accuracy debuff, but it would take you just a few seconds to see the problem here. First, short duration, 50% accuracy debuff for 8 seconds, and she has to stay there the whole time. Second, it does give her a taunt decrease, but that's it. She still blocks enemy, and worse, she doesn't fight back. She's in the center of it and can easily die from someone she blocks or some range attacks beyond her range. After sitting there for 8 seconds, she does 5.4k AoE damage, which I think is not worth the time and effort. So for some really straightforward comparisons, Ascalon provides the exact same effect with skill 3. The range of that skill is much bigger, it lasts for 45 seconds. Ascalon does not block, has dodge in herself as well, and will heal herself from missed attacks. Ella skill 1, 40% accuracy debuff, slightly lower but has a much higher coverage. Also works in a 8-tile range and is flexible in deployment, comes with literally 0 risk. So yeah, don't mean to be super mean, but whoever designed this skill, I don't want to see this a second time. Skill 3 after deployment, Talent 1 range expands into the typical Texas skill 2 range, gains invisibility and block becomes 0. Every 2 seconds appear and deal 250% attack as physical damage twice to a ground enemy within the range and stun them for 4 seconds. However, one single target can only be targeted once every 6 seconds. This is a 16-second passive skill. To one target, Crownslayer can only target them 3 times max during the skills, and that totals up to 16k damage with a 2.7k DPH. It's not hard to tell that skill 3 is the best skill relatively for Crownslayer. First, I need to address the incredible survival package. She's invisible during skill. The biggest difference between invisible and camouflage is that invisibility does not take splash damage. However, she can still be revealed by enemies like recon units, but that's very rare in the game. That plus the fact that she's block 0 means that she's safe from enemies targeting 99% of the time, no cap. She can take damage from altars, toxic mists, can be targeted by friendly fire like Egg, and crowd control like Conviction and U Official, although those are also rarely used with her. So it is a very reliable way to avoid most damage for her Talent 2 trigger. Being damaged by the environment doesn't really affect that, right? Nobody hurts her means that she deals more damage to everybody, and extending her Talent 1 range is a good addition for the support side of things. For damage and stuns, just know that she has a 1 second delay between deploying and the first damage and stun, so that's slightly longer than other similar skills like Red skill 2, Kafka skill 1, and Texas Altar and Phantom skill 3. She has an extremely awkward limitation to the damage pattern that really ruined the party. She has a fixed attack interval of 2 seconds with this skill, and on top of that, she only attacks the same target every 6 seconds. So without Module Y, there will be a 2-second gap between the stuns, and this was something players heavily criticized about her design before Module Y was a thing. It also makes it so that she doesn't benefit from attack speed buffs at all. Yes, it also makes her not affected by debuffs, but attack speed debuffs are much less prevalent than buffs right now. So finally, I think it all comes down to the post-Module Y era. Now each of her hits stun enemies for 6 seconds, making it a seamless stun lock for 18 seconds. Against one target, what you can do is retreating her after she has dealt the 3rd hit, since she wouldn't attack that enemy anymore in the skill. So that cuts away 4 more seconds in one cycle, making the stun coverage up to 60%. So overall, the ideal build for Crownslayer should always be Skill 3, Mastery 3 plus Module Y level 3. Either that or not at all. In conclusion, Crownslayer is a support and crowd control oriented executor, but the support side of things, not super impressive. Skill 3, her signature skill, is the one that gives her the best survival bonus for safe support, but has a built-in awkward mechanic that just ruined the whole thing. So after being really bad looking for 6 months, she's compensated by Module Y, which finally grants her back the crowd control potential. For future performance, even before Module Y, Crownslayer was already showing up in 1P relay and no-hit clears. Her skill 3 range is the biggest among executors, and her crowd control, great survival adds to that. And after Module Y, she can be easily integrated into your daily team as a safety belt to help scavenging dire situations. Remember half a year ago we said that she would be 1-1? Module Y really changed a lot of that, and my final verdict for this character is 5-5. Daily, 5. Part of it is the solid foundation of the Executor archetype. They are always the best safety belts in this game. Her stun locks are very easy to pull off as well, no more than deploying. The only thing is the relatively high cost for a mandatory level 3 module. Again, she can help with hairy situations, and there are times where she's more reliable than other 6 stars, especially for continuous crowd control. But for damage side of things, let's just say that it isn't her strongest call, but the range advantage and safe output is not to be neglected. For advanced, I'm kinda torn on this one, and 5 is more of a reserved take. Her 3-target 18-second stun is a very unique advantage, like literally no one else in the game gets to do it like her. But in real context though, in IS and especially in IS5, operators who benefit massively from attack speed are the winners. That's why we're seeing characters like Holderer rise to power in IS5. Unfortunately, Crownslayer is one of those few ones that get zero benefit out of attack speed. And even out of IS5, investing 10 hope mostly for the crowd control is a luxury. Not to mention the existence of relics kinda makes what she can do solo much less stand out. So her main stage would mostly be in harder challenges like Contingency Contract and the newer Vector Breakthrough. She doesn't need resources, she doesn't quite need good terrain because theoretically one tile is all she needs. She doesn't need others to chain up the stun, she's not affected by attack speed debuffs. So her future is promising in these game modes. Yes, there may be stun immunities, but hey, helping with grunts in CC is also massive. And that said, there's no real achievement from her yet, so until the next IS and the next CC, we can't be sure of what awaits her next. Overall, the stats are straight up terrible, while some of the key mechanics designs were just there to make you uncomfortable using her, kinda like crippling her before finally giving her a walking stick. So, should you build her? It's a good discussion. Key points are summarized here, but let's further address some points. Not gonna go over her speciality again, and as a welfare special, she also comes with a pretty nice base skill. If you're not satisfied with Conviction and F-Yeater, here's your new battle record manufacturer. For cons, if you are low on resources and have built characters like Texas or Yato Altar, I say not building Crownslayer for now wouldn't hurt you at all. Module Y level 3 is also mandatory for her use. For schedule and meta, the biggest appeal here is that she's free. Full potential is possible for every player as well. While for the other 3 6-star executors, Texas Altar is a standard limited, Yato Altar is a limited that nobody knows if she'll ever come back, and Phantom is now in the kernel pool. So if you don't have those executors at high potential or if at all, chances are that your full potential Crownslayer may not be looking too bad compared to them in terms of DP and redeployment time. For example, all the other 6-star executors have the redeployment reduction at potential 4. So if you don't have those potentials, your full pod Crownslayer should have the same redeployment time as them at 18 seconds, which isn't too bad. But to really use her, Module Y is 5 to 6 months away, and from a meta perspective, fast redeploy units are not as dominant as they were about like 1 year ago, since the introduction of Wizardel, we've kinda come full circle and back to the relaying devastating skills to clear a stage. And that's kind of the mainstream playstyle right now, which is kind of reminiscent of the older Gavial Altar with Nar cycling a few years back. Therefore, building more FRD is definitely optional if you think you're well banked on these arsenals. That's gonna be it for this episode. Finally, we're done with this patch, and we're not far away from Exodus from the Pale Sea and Thorn's Altar. Thank you again for watching until the end. See you in the next one. Bye bye.